Welcome whānau to this Warhammer Underworlds battle report. An epic battle in the mirrored city between the fierce Fyreslayers of the chosen axes and the savage Orruks of Ironskulls Boyz. Continuing the second round of Warhammer Underworlds Battle League, with the remaining 8 warbands now fighting for eternal glory, following the elimination of the Briar Queen, the Fast Riders, Stormsire's Curse Breakers, and Molog's Mob. Go back and watch the previous games if you want. No underlying narrative to this, just simply throwing models on the tabletop for your entertainment, following a long hiatus from myself. It's great to be back. We're still using the rules for Shadespire and Nightfall, as I'm not going to buy the latest sets, but sit back and enjoy. And if you want to see more from me, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I post weekly Warhammer videos and other tabletop gaming stuff. We'll take a quick look at the table setup and then go into turn number 1. Alright, so here is the table setup. Ironskulls Boyz on the left, the chosen axes on the right. Chosen axes got to place the objectives, so they'll put 3 on their side. They've got 3, 1, and 4. Now, advantage for them is they inspire as long as they're holding an objective at the end of the action phase. So that's a big advantage to them, means they're going to stand here, buff themselves up, then move across. That's why they've all deployed back as well. Whereas I'm playing as Ironskulls Boyz. I've gone straight up the front lines as close as I could, put my objectives further back. We've got 5 and 2 here, and I'm planning to play aggressively. Depending on how things pan out, I do have the first turn, the first activation for turn 1, which is an advantage to me. And the Ironskulls Boyz inspire upon taking damage, so high cost, high reward gameplay. Got to risk it all for the biscuit. We'll see what happens as we go into activation number 1, turn number 1, with Ironskulls Boyz. Alright, so turn 1, activation number 1. I'm going to kick things off with Gurzag Ironskull. He's going to let out a bestial roar and charge forward. 1, 2, 3. Heading straight into Fyreslayer Grimnir, leader of the chosen axes. Like I was saying before, high risk, high reward. He's going to swing his boss choppers in. 2 dice hitting on hammers or crits. And that's double swords. That's no hits from him. Lame. Alright, so my opponent has played 2 cards before they go into their activation. So Slaying Blow. If the first attack action in the next activation is a critical hit, double its damage characteristic. And also Treasure Lust. Choose a friendly fighter and push them up to 3 hexes. They must end up holding an objective. Alright, so Treasure Lust.
Wait. Can I just put it in?
I need to show the action on camera. So Treasure Lust. Gold is all that matters. It is the essence of our god, the lifeblood of our people. So my opponent's choosing the guy at the back behind Grimnir to move on to objective 4. And then they're going to attack in with Grimnir himself, warband leader against warband leader, swinging the latchkey axe into Ironskull. Alright, so showdown, warband leader versus warband leader. Turn 1, sweet tabletop gaming action. He's swinging in now 2 attacks, looking for hammers or crits. So we got 2 hammers, no critical hits, so the Slaying Blow card is unused, but that's 2 attacks, and I get to make 1 defense roll. Looking for a shield. And that's a nothing. So that's 2 hits in from Grimnir. His axe deals 3 damage, so he's done 6 damage in total, cutting straight through Ironskull, who has 5 wounds. So 6 wounds to 5. Ironskull is killed. And that's 1 glory to the chosen axes. First blood to the chosen axes, putting them into an early lead. Activation number 2 for Ironskull's boys. Reeling from the loss of Gurzag Ironskull, my warband leader, had big plans as to the... I made that brave heroic charge first activation that didn't go off, but somehow the chosen axes got it off. That's cool. Sometimes the way this game goes, the way any tabletop game goes, you know, the roll of the dice, the luck of the dice. I was in command of Molog's mob from the first round. I got them eliminated. So I'm hoping to bring glory and keep the Destruction warband still in this competition, but seems a bit unlikely. The Fyreslayers have deployed too defensively. Far back, I don't have any ranged weapons, so there's not a lot I can do except advance forward, and then that leaves me open to them attacking me. So yeah, pretty low on options. I'm just going to move Bone Cutter. 3 and end my turn. Activation number 2 for the chosen axes. The cowardly Fyreslayers are playing defensively, continuing to play defensively. Orruk Bane, who has also been upgraded with Great Swing, is simply going to move 1 square onto objective number 1 and get that inspiration bonus. So he'll become inspired as well. Already dude back there, what's his name? Maegrim is also inspired, so 2 out of 4 have become inspired, making things harder and harder for me. I'll go to activation number 3 now for Ironskull's boys. Activation number 3 for Ironskull's boys. I'm going to use these hazardous hexes here, so I'm going to charge Hacker or Haka, especially because I'm the multi wargamer. He's going to dash forward 1, 2, 3. He's going to take 1 wound, so he'll have 3 wounds remaining, but that means he will become inspired, giving him an additional attack dice roll, as well as increasing damage from 1 to 2. So that'll come in handy. If they want to play like that and inspire their team, I can do the same. All goods. Go on to activation 3 for the chosen axes. Activation 3 for the chosen axes, who are currently leading 1 glory point to 0. So Maegrim inspired is going to move off objective number 4 and charge into Hacker. And he's going to swing in with his scorching axes. 3 attacks. He'll be hitting on swords or crits. So 1 critical hit. However, with the scorching axes, from being inspired, you can re-roll 1 attack dice. So 2 crits, that deals 4 damage in total. I get only 1 defense dice. Let me double check. Yeah, 1 defense dice roll. So rolling in 1 defense. Alright, and that is 1 critical defense, but that's still 1 additional hit that I've taken, dealing 2. So I've already sustained 1 wound from stepping into the hazardous hex. And I take another 2 additional damage, but that's enough to still keep me alive and still keep me in the game. And remember, I've only moved Haka, I haven't attacked with him, so you know what I'm going to do on my final activation for turn number 1? Let's go. Alright baby, final activation, turn number 1 for the Orruks. Hacker, 1 wound remaining, he is inspired. He's going to go for a retaliation attack against Maegrim. the hopes and dreams of the Ironskulls boys, of even Molog's mob, lies in this roll. So he's rolling in with his choppers. We get 3 attack rolls, and we are hitting on swords or crits. So come on, baby. Oh! You can see it there. Hammers and 2 supports. The dice are not on my side this game. That much is clear. Is it because I'm using my blue Stormcast dice? Potentially. They're the only cool dice I have. Maybe let's just do a... I've already done it, but I'm just going to practice roll with these basic white dice. 1 hit, not too much better. Ah, that sucks. That sucks. Yeah, alright, that's all the activations done for the Orruks turn 1, going into the final activation for the Fyreslayers. Alright, and here is our battlefield at the end of turn 1. My opponent simply moved this guy onto objective 3, getting that inspiration for him, Tefk Flamebearer. So everyone now in the Chosen Axes except for Grimnir has become inspired. They are all fresh, no wounds taken so far. They're in the fight and they're furious. It's been a bloody turn 1, at least for the Orruk side. Not sure how to recover from this. But as we move into the end phase, we can clear out our hands. I had a pretty rubbish one myself. Don't know about my opponent. I think they even played a couple of ploys, got an upgrade. So yeah, it's pretty grim. But yeah, end phase, we'll redraw cards, check if any objectives were gained, and get things set up as we move into turn number 2. Alright, so end phase for turn number 1. Nothing gained for myself, Ironskulls boys, but I did redraw my objective cards and my power cards. So we'll see if that's going to change my fortunes for turn number 2. My opponent did gain an objective, a Grim Promise. Fuel Grimnir makes neither oaths nor threats lightly. Score this in an end phase if your warband took an enemy leader out of action. So that was obvious. Putting them up 2 glory points to my 0. And they also went and spent activated runes to upgrade onto Tefk Inspired. Tefk is that dude there, right on objective 3. Activated runes. This Fyreslayer's Urgold runes blaze with white heat, imbuing him with the strength of his warrior god. So each time this fighter makes an attack, he can reroll 1 dice. So it gives him a bit more. Yeah, they got a lot of options. It's going to be challenging, but advantage to me, I do get the first activation for turn number 2. We've got 2 guys ready to go into close combat. So potentially we'll turn things around. We'll see what happens. Turn number 2, Warhammer Underworlds, don't go anywhere at all. Activation 1, turn number 2, going straight into it. Hacker, he's only got 1 wound left, so best to use him before he gets killed. Swinging in with his choppers, 3 attacks, swords or crits. Let's go. Come on, baby. Alright, we got 1 crit there, and we also have a sword. So that's potentially enough for a kill. When they deal 2 damage each, fingers crossed. Alright, so Magrim potentially dead, rolling to save his life. He gets 1 dice. So roll that off, looking for a shield or a crit. Come on. Oh, and that's a nothing. Right there, baby. Nothing. 2 damage, 2 damage. 4 health to Magrim. Magrim is... dead. And that's it, baby. Another soul claimed by the Mirrored City. Hacker, 1 health left, managed to kill the inspired Magrim. The Scorching Axe is nothing against the forces of destruction and their sharp choppers. 1 glory point to Ironskull's Boyz, 1 glory point to the Orruks, so that's 2 to the Fyreslayers, 1 to the Orruks. Do we have any upgrades? We do. Alright, 1 moment. Alright, so back there in the distance, Basher, he's at full health. I've got 1 glory point, so I'm going to spend that point on the upgrade Ard Head. Some Orruks of skulls so thick they could be iron into shape. To help him to reduce damage and stay alive, I could only give that to Hacker or Basher. Hacker's almost dead, so no point. But good to have 1 upgrade on there. As we go into the power step, following the Orruk activation, first blood for them as well. It's good. My fortunes may have changed, folks. My fortunes may have changed. Alright, so nothing from my opponent in that power step. No tricks up their sleeves. However, I do play 1 card. Brutal but cunning. Never underestimate an Orruk's brutal cunning. Play this after a friendly fighter's attack action. You can push that fighter up to 3 hexes. So technically, may not have been able to play it. However, we're only playing friendly here. My opponent has been gracious and allowed me to move it back. Hacker, 1, 2, 3. So moving into relative safety, the Fyreslayers, not as mobile, but should hopefully keep them in the game, at least keep them from scoring another glory point by getting an easy kill. But that's it from the Orruks. We're going to move into activation number 1, turn number 2 for the Fyreslayers. Activation 1, turn number 2, the Chosen Axes. We've got Tefk, who's inspired. My opponent's moving him 1, 2. Straight up charging into Bone Cutter. He's got his Blazing Axes. He's got 3 rolls, swinging in activated runes as well. But that will allow him to re-roll 1 dice. So rolling in. And none of those are a hit. Just quickly scan up there. Terrible, terrible roll. The fortunes have changed. So they are playing a reaction card. Oathsworn. Fyreslayers would gladly die before dishonoring their oaths. Play this after a friendly fighter's attack action fails. That fighter can make another attack action that targets the same fighter. So that's going to grab the dice and re-roll again. Swinging in. 3 attacks, looking for hammers or crits. So 1 hammer. And they do have the activated wounds, so they can re-roll 1 more of those dice. Again, nothing, so they had like 7 opportunities, only landed 1 hit. That's pretty good for me. I do get 1 defense roll with Bone Cutter, looking for shields. And that's an arrow, that's a nothing. So that attack is going to go through. It will deal 3 damage. However, Bone Cutter has 4 health, so he's down to 1 health remaining. He will become inspired as a result. And that will be the end of the activation for the Chosen Axes. Blood has been spilt, and Bone Cutter is furious. We'll see what he does in his activation. Alright, so we're not going to get to find out what Bone Cutter thinks. After his blood was spilt, my opponent's gone and played Piercing Stare. Eyes blazing with the fiery wrath of the warrior god. Fyreslayers are intimidating foes indeed. So Tef, chopping in with his blazing axes, didn't deal quite enough damage as he wanted. However, he does stare down the mighty bone cutter and cowers him into fear. He won't be able to attack or charge in the next activation, which is a cruel fate indeed, as he's now inspired. However, so far the Fyreslayers have had all the nifty cards and power-ups in their advantage. Sweating a bit, but I do have a couple of others on the field ready to go, so not to worry, Whānau, not to worry. I'll bring it back for you. Forces of destruction will conquer, will prevail. And prevail we will, Whānau, because my opponent's not the only one with cards. I'm going to play more chopping. They may not be graceful duelists, but in Orruks, sheer belligerence and tireless attacks can quickly wear a superior swordsman down. So that allows me to roll an extra attack dice for the first attack action in the next activation, which will be right now. Activation number 2, turn number 2 for Ironskull's Boyz. We've got Basher. He's got an odd head. He lets out a war cry. Me Basher. 1, 2, 3. And he's going to come in. He's got his smashes. He's going to swing in. He's looking for swords. He's looking for crits. And he's also supported by Bone Cutter, who, although he's not brave enough to attack himself, he's always happy to support his mates. So 3 dice. Oh, sword, 2 supports, all 3 hits. We're good to go, baby. Alright, so 3 successful attacks, chopping in. Oh, that's useless. They only do 1 damage each. And Tef has 4 health, so I'm actually not going to die. Yeah, that seems useless. Tef rolling in 1 dice. He's looking to defend on a shield. I got an arrow, so that's doesn't. He takes all the hits. Okay. So he suffers 3 damage. He's got 1 wound remaining. I've got knockback 1. I can't knock him that direction, can I? I'm going to double check that rule. I potentially could have another kill here. 1 moment. Alright, so no, don't get to push him back here because he has to end up further away. But I've got knockback 1, so I'm going to push him back 2 squares, 1, and then just off camera. That's so useless. 1 damage weapons. Useless. Absolutely useless. So we're still alive, and we're going to go into activation number 2 for the Chosen Axes. Alright, so activation 2. Before we begin, my opponent did play another card in the power step, Urgold Boon. Even the sight of blessed Urgold can restore a Fyreslayer's vigor. So choose a friendly fighter. So he's going to choose Old Mate, who got a hiding in the last round. So rolling the dice, we're looking for shield or crit, remove up to 2 wounds. And that's a crit, so those 3 wounds that he suffered becomes only 1 wound. So he heals up to 2, 1 wound left. Just when you thought their shenanigans couldn't get anywhere, say. Activation 2. Activation 2 for the Chosen Axes. My opponent's playing it safe. Moving Grimnir here onto objective 4. Spin that for the camera. Looking to get him inspired, and then therefore having their whole warband inspired at the end of the turn. So let's that's their choice, that's what they're up to. I've got 2 out of my 3 remaining inspired myself. And now Bone Cutter is ready to chop in with that piercing stare no longer in effect. We'll move straight into activation 3 for Ironskulls Boyz. Orruks activation number 3, turn number 2. Bone Cutter is going to rush in. He's got 1 wound remaining. He's pretty bloodied up, but should be enough to hopefully take out Tefk. His hammer, his big chopper is a lot more cutty than the smashes that that other guy had. So fingers crossed we're going to see some blood spilt of the Fyreslayers. We have 2 chops in with the big choppers, looking for hammers or crits. And that's a no successful hit again. Not surprising. We've had that all game so far for Ironskulls Boyz. Activation 3, let's just go straight into it for the Fyreslayers. Alright, 3rd activation for the Chosen Axes. My opponent is taking Vol there off objective 1, and he's just going to let out a war cry and charge straight into Bone Cutter. Moving there, he has supported by his mate Tefk. He's going to swing his great axe in for 2 dice. We're looking for hammers, we're looking for crits, and we're looking for a support from Tefk. So rolling in now. We got 1 hammer from that one, so that's 1 wound, which will deal with 3 damage unless I can save it. So Bone Cutter has only 1 health left as well. So we've got one roll to make. And no surprises there. Like I said, just before, you saw it just in the previous activation, I haven't had any success with any of my dice rolls except for the ones that don't matter. Actually, even from the very start of the game, I haven't had any luck, even with, you know, my opponent getting 3 objectives on their side of the field. So it's rough, it's very rough. Vol is going to decapitate Bone Cutter. 3rd point of glory to the Chosen Axes. 1 currently for the Ironskulls Boyz. So 3-1. Rough game. Sorry to any Orruk fans out there. I'm not doing you justice, but you've all seen it's the way the dice roll. Let's go on to the final activation for both warbands. We'll kick off with the Orruks. Alright, so the final activations for turn 2, both warbands simply opting to draw objective cards. Everyone's moved, everyone is bloodied. Fyreslayers outnumber 3 on the field to 2 Orruks. Things are looking pretty grim currently. 3 glory to the Fyreslayers, 1 to the Orruks. However, in phase, we both did manage to gain objectives. The Chosen Axes managed to claim for the Gold. To the Fyreslayers, Gold represents a spiritual connection to their warrior god. They will risk their lives for a mere handful of it. Score this in an end phase if all of your surviving fighters are inspired, which they all 3 of them are, and all 3 of them are the deadlier for it. So that's 1 glory, putting them up to 4 glory. However, I also got one, it's called Punch Up. Orruks are not known to be good at sharing. Score this in an end phase if each of your surviving fighters made an attack action against a different enemy fighter in the preceding action phase. So we know that Basher and Hacker both made attacks in the preceding action phase, and that one is worth 2 glory points, putting me up 3-4. So Orruks on 3, Fyreslayers on 4. We narrowed it down quite a bit. We're going to swap cards, draw cards. and then go into turn number 3, final turn, see how this game pans out. That's it, and that's the way Shades, Warhammer Underworlds go. It's the roll of the dice, but it's also the draw of the cards. 2 glories for pretty much doing nothing. We'll see what we get. Things that go either way. So place your bets, stay with me, and if you're enjoying what you're watching so far, remember to subscribe, like this video, show some support for the Moldy Wargamer. Alright, so that's the state of the battlefield in the final turn of this Warhammer Underworlds battle report. The Chosen Axes are currently winning 4 glory points to 3 of Ironskull's boys, but we've both replenished our hands and are looking to mix things up. All 3 turns I've managed to gain the initiative, so I'm going to kick things off in a fierce way. Charging straight in with Basher. So 1, 2, 3. Basher is moving in and looking to claim some heads. I did spend my 2 glory points on upgrades for Basher. I got Headlong Rush, so this fighter's attack actions gain knockback 1, which it already has, so I think that stacks because his one's a passive ability, so that gives him knockback 2, so I can send him flying all the way back to Grimnir in the distance, and also got him Brutal Frenzy. So roll an extra attack dice when this fighter makes a charge action, so that'll give us 3 attack dice to roll. And we'll make that roll right now. Basher charging in onto the wounded Tiff. So he may have healed his wounds last time, but the damage output from this should be enough to kill him. We got 3 dice rolling, the extra one coming from Brutal Frenzy. We'll see what we can do now. Rolling 3 dice, looking for swords, and we are looking for crits. Alright, so 1 hammer, 1 crit, and another hammer off in the distance there, off camera. My opponent gets... you get one roll, looking for shields or crits. Oh, well, just looking for crit. And you don't make it, but there's only 1 successful hit, which deals a measly 1 damage. And knockback 2. Activation 1 for the Chosen Axes, turn number 3, the final turn. Yeah, a knockback. There's no point in it. They've just ended up moving Tiff onto objective number 1, and ended their activation there. Activation 2, final turn for Ironskull's boys. Hacker is going to move 1, 2. I'm going to move them on to objective 2 actually. Yeah, they can still move too fast, so I'm just going to move into objective 2, keep them alive. That's it from me. On to activation 2 for the Chosen Axes. Alright, activation for the Chosen Axes. Vol Inspired is going to rush around moving onto objective number 3, and then going to attack Basher from behind. So he's swinging his great axe in for 2 attacks, looking for hammers or crits. Nothing, which is lucky enough. Basher's going to spin around. Not a lot he can do, he's already activated. But means that they don't get the glory point from killing him. So going into activation 3 for Ironskulls Boyz. Alright, so activations 3 and 4, we've both done nothing. So I just drew objective cards, my opponent did the same. Not a lot we can do. All units have moved and have been exhausted. Let's just scan out for a quick survey of the battlefield. So we've got Hacker back there, objective 2. Grimnir stayed on objective number 4. And we've also got the Chosen Axes also have 3 and 1. So they're up to something there, not budging, although Grimnir couldn't have done anything even if he could move. Pretty much a stalemate there. I'm currently on 4, my opponent's on 3. So it's going to come down to those final objective cards, which we were furiously drawing. We'll check the end result, see what happens. Yeah, I'm not too optimistic myself. We'll go in the end phase now. Let's see what happened. Alright, Whānau, so the battle draws to a close. A victory for the Chosen Axes. Both of us didn't actually manage to gain any of the objectives. My one's all centered around Ironskull being alive. Same as the one I played with the Skaven. Just those objectives all just heavily focused around my warband leader. I did manage to thwart my opponent. They were going for 1 Hoarders. So that's why they were securing those 3 objectives. Thankfully, I put Hacker in the backfield onto objective 2. I didn't need it, but them gaining that objective depended on me not holding one. So that was a fluke. All that did though was stop me from being beaten 6-3, and ended up making the game a very close, very very tight game in the end. So I'm just lucky to not be absolutely thrashed. A close, narrow victory to the Chosen Axes. So I guess, again, Ironskulls Boyz, Orruk players, Destruction players, I've let you down, I'm sorry, but a fierce battle was fought on both sides. Unfortunately, not enough to secure a victory for the forces of Destruction. So the Chosen Axes will continue to the next round of the battle. They'll be facing off against Steelheart's champions. So the forces of Order versus Order, Stormcast versus Fyreslayers. I think that'll be the semi-finals in this bracket. So tune in for that one. Place your bets, see what happens. Yeah. Oh, you know, I played Steelheart's champion, so I'm excited. I think I might need to tweak my deck a bit. The Chosen Axes were pretty hefty. Lots of nifty ploys and abilities. A lot of synergy in their deck. So yeah, I might take a look at that myself. But that was a good game. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment, any thoughts, feedback, opinions, anything you want to share with me. And make sure you stick around. We've got a couple more games coming for this bracket. Magor's Fiends versus Yulthari's Guardians up next to conclude round 2. So don't want to miss out if you're into that Warhammer Underworlds action. By this time I should also be having regular Warhammer battle reports up, as well as a bit of Blackstone Fortress, just finishing that off. Let's Plays as well, if that's your flavour. So stick around. Multi Wargamer, New Zealand's #1 YouTuber. Lots of quality action and videos coming fresh to your screens wherever you may be. Hope you are staying safe, staying healthy. Great to have you here with me. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Once again, I am your humble host. Until the next video, I'll catch you later. Ka kite. Ano.